there's different database management systems, which is DBMS, database management system. And the one we're using is MySQL. It's one of the reasons we're using it is because it's free. And that's probably the biggest reason we're using it. So, and it's also a pretty good one too, but there's others out there that we could have used. But we also have an environment, phpMyAdmin, which I'll talk about, which is just a nice user interface for connecting with the database. Instead of doing it all like command line, it has this nice, more graphical interface that I'll show you today and we'll talk about. How do I pronounce it? Now I'm going to be using these things interchangeably because some people say SQL and some people say SQL. And you'll see me saying both. And the reason is when I graduated undergraduate, my undergraduate degree was in computer science, and I went on to work for 4 years in UBS, which was Payne Weber, an investment bank, and I was supporting the municipal securities trading floor, and everyone called it SQL, and I learned about databases because that's what we had to do. We had to keep track of everything in a database, and everyone called it SQL. And actually, that's the correct official way is SQL, and the official way is MySQL, not MySQL. It's MySQL. It's SQL. So why does everyone say, so many people say SQL, MySQL, and Northeastern, all the faculty say SQL, which is why I try to start saying SQL, even though I'm more used to SQL. And so you'll just hear me saying both. And if it's really SQL, why does so many people say SQL? And the answer is originally it was called SQL, SEQUEL. And then it was trademarked by some company. So then they changed the name to SQL, but so many people were still used to calling it SQL that a lot of people call it SQL, but you'll also have a lot of people who call it SQL. You'll hear me doing it interchangeably, MySQL, MySQL, SQL, SQL, it's all the same thing. And I put a little Khan Academy link for whoever wants to watch it on if you're interested in the name, because they'll talk about, do you pronounce it SQL or SQL? And the answer really is both, and you'll hear it both ways. But if you want the official, it's actually SQL is the official one, but so many people say SQL that everything is fine.